You weren't just overlooked. You were shaped by pressure you didn't ask for, tested in quiet rooms, judged in passing glances. They spoke to you as if endurance was your duty and silence was your role. And for a long time you carried it without complaint, without spectacle, without witnesses. Every moment stacked on the next. Every slight brushed off as nothing. Until nothing started to feel heavy. Because deep down you knew this wasn't random. You knew something inside you was waking up, watching closely, waiting for the right moment to stop absorbing and start deciding. They thought they were wearing you down, that if they repeated the same behavior long enough, you would fold into something smaller, easier, more convenient. They mistook patience for permission. They mistook restraint for fear. They didn't see how pressure was carving structure into your thinking, how discomfort was sharpening your awareness. You learned how people move when they think you won't notice. You learned how systems benefit from your doubt. You learned how calm can be more dangerous than noise. No, because what they called weakness was actually containment, and everything you endured stayed stored, waiting, not as anger, but as clarity. At some point, the questioning stopped, not theirs. Yours. You stopped asking why fairness never showed up. You stopped asking when recognition would come. You stopped explaining yourself to people who never listened. That shift didn't announce itself. It crept in quietly. You became selective with your energy. You started observing instead of reacting, listening without agreeing, moving without broadcasting. That's when the balance changed. Not outwardly, internally. And it's almost amusing how discomfort spreads among those who rely on your predictability. Once you remove it without warning, they expect you to break loudly, to lash out, to spiral, to waste years trying to prove something to them. Instead, you withdrew with intent. You learned to sit with discomfort without letting it define you. Pain stopped being personal and started becoming informative. Every closed door showed you where not to stand anymore. Every dismissal refined your sense of direction. You didn't harden into bitterness. You refined into discipline. This wasn't about revenge or fantasies of dominance. It was about alignment. About recognizing that strength doesn't rush and clarity doesn't beg. Here's where tension lives now, because when you stop reacting, control slips away from those who depended on it. When you no longer need validation, influence weakens. They feel it before they understand it. The absence of your compliance creates unease. Your focus becomes a mirror they didn't ask to look into. You don't have to confront. You don't have to justify. Your consistency does all the speaking. And that silence carries more weight than any argument ever could, because it's no longer empty. It's deliberate. What awakened in you isn't chaos. It's precision. It's the ability to choose your response instead of being dragged into theirs. You move differently now. You pause where you once rushed. You observe where you once explained. Your standards quietly rise. Your tolerance quietly fades, not out of arrogance, out of awareness. You know what it costs to rebuild from nothing. You know what it takes to stay composed under pressure. And you will not trade that hard-earned clarity for temporary comfort again. That's the part no one prepared them for. So understand this. This is only the beginning, not of destruction, but of authorship. You are no longer reacting to the past. You are directing what comes next. Everything they used to corner you carved a sense of purpose they can't interfere with now. You didn't endure all of that to remain small. You didn't carry weight just to put it back down for someone else's convenience. This is the pause before momentum, the calm before intentional movement. And once you step forward from here, nothing about you will be accidental ever again. Now the work begins where excuses end. This is the phase they never see coming because it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. No speeches, no announcements, just decisions stacking quietly. You start choosing discipline over comfort, direction over distraction, precision over noise. The habits you tolerated before suddenly feel heavy, out of place, almost insulting. You don't argue with that feeling. You listen to it. Because awareness has a way of changing what you're willing to accept without asking permission. You notice how your time tightens, how you no longer explain your boundaries in long sentences, how certain conversations drain you before they even begin. This isn't isolation, it's filtration. You are editing your environment with intention. People who benefited from your availability feel the distance first. They sense something is gone, even if they can't name it. And instead of chasing clarity, they reach for control. That's when you see it clearly. No. Not everyone who questions your growth is confused. Some are threatened by it. This is where restraint becomes your advantage. You don't rush to correct assumptions. You don't waste energy defending choices that are working. You let results accumulate quietly. You let consistency speak without translation. There is power in letting others underestimate what you're building, in letting them cling to old versions of you that no longer exist. It's almost poetic how people reveal their expectations when they think you haven't changed, while you've already moved 3 steps ahead. The pressure doesn't disappear. It changes shape. Now it comes as temptation, as invitations back into old roles, old dynamics, old cycles that once kept you stuck. They test whether your boundaries are real or just words. This is where many falter, but you've been trained by discomfort already. You know how to sit with tension without reacting. You know how to let silence do the heavy lifting. You're not cold, you're deliberate. And there's a difference only experience can teach. Your focus sharpens when you stop seeking approval. You begin measuring progress internally, by discipline kept, by standards honored, by promises kept to yourself when no one is watching. This is the kind of structure that doesn't need validation, the kind that compounds quietly. Every small decision aligned with your direction reinforces the next one. Doubt has less space to breathe here. Because momentum built this way doesn't announce itself. It just becomes harder to stop. They will try to reframe your growth as distance, as arrogance, as change for the worse. Labels are tools when control is slipping. You don't pick them up. You let them fall where they land. You understand now that clarity doesn't require consensus, that progress doesn't ask permission, that respect begins internally before it ever shows up externally. And once that internal standard is set, you stop negotiating with people who never planned to meet it. This phase demands patience with teeth, long-term vision over short-term relief. You resist the urge to prove, to rush, to show. You understand timing now. You understand that revealing everything too early invites interference. So you build quietly, skill by skill, habit by habit, decision by decision. The structure forms before the display. Nah, you're not hiding. You're preparing. And preparation done right looks boring to those addicted to spectacle. Pay attention to how your reactions change. What once triggered you now barely registers. What once drained you now feels irrelevant. This isn't numbness, it's calibration. Your nervous system learning that not everything deserves a response. Your mind learning that peace is productive. This is strength refined, not suppressed. And when you move from this place, your actions carry weight because they aren't fueled by impulse. Eventually, they notice the gap. Not because you announce success, but because your presence no longer feeds old patterns. You don't argue, you don't chase, you don't linger. Your absence becomes instructive. It forces reflection they avoided when you were accessible. This is not punishment, it's consequence, natural, unforced. And the most unsettling part for them is realizing there's nothing to fight because you're no longer standing where they left you. So hold this line. This isn't the climax, it's the construction phase. The part where discipline replaces emotion as your guide, where intention governs action, where you become reliable to yourself above all else. You didn't endure pressure to return to reaction. You didn't sharpen awareness to dull it with comfort. This is about direction now, measured, controlled, intentional. And from here on, every step forward is chosen, not provoked. There comes a moment when effort turns into identity. When discipline is no longer something you force, but something you are. You wake up different. Not louder, not aggressive, just settled. Decisions come faster because doubt has less room to argue. You no longer ask who approves, you ask what aligns. That shift is quiet, but it's irreversible. Because once you trust your own direction, hesitation loses its grip. This is where your presence changes weight. You walk into rooms without carrying explanations. You listen more than you speak. You choose words like tools instead of reactions. People sense it immediately. Not confidence that needs to be proven, but certainty that doesn't seek attention. The kind that disrupts old hierarchies without confrontation. No. You didn't become distant. You became centered. And that center is no longer negotiable. What once felt like pressure now feels like fuel, with rules. You don't burn it recklessly. You channel it. Every routine you keep builds credibility with yourself. Every boundary you honor reinforces trust internally. This is self-respect made visible through action, not declarations, not performances. Just follow through. It's ironic how boring consistency looks to those addicted to emotional spikes, yet how powerful it becomes over time. They may attempt one last reach, a reminder of who you used to be, an invitation wrapped in nostalgia, a test disguised as concern. This is where clarity matters most. You don't react emotionally. You respond structurally. You recognize patterns without re-entering them. You don't need closure from those who benefited from confusion. You already closed the loop by choosing yourself consistently. Your standards rise without apology. What you allow around you becomes intentional. Conversations have purpose. Commitments have weight. Distractions lose appeal because you understand their cost. This isn't isolation, it's selection. You are no longer available for everything, only for what moves you forward. And that selective presence creates a gravity that can't be forced or imitated. At this stage, comparison fades. You're no longer measuring progress against others, only against alignment. Are your actions matching your values? Are your habits serving your direction? Are your days reflecting your intent? This internal scoreboard keeps you honest, keeps you grounded, keeps you advancing without needing applause. And freedom quietly expands when validation stops being a requirement. What they feel now is consequence without confrontation. They don't lose because you defeated them. They lose access to your time, your energy, your responsiveness. That absence is not cruelty. It's the natural result of growth. You didn't change to punish. You changed to protect what you built. No. And once protection becomes instinct, regression becomes unlikely. This is where your path narrows in the best way. Fewer distractions, fewer explanations, fewer compromises that drain you. What remains is focus, direction, a sense of inner order that makes chaos outside less influential. You move with intention because you know what disorder costs. And that knowledge anchors you when things get loud again. Remember this. What awakened in you was not rage. It was authorship. The ability to choose your next move without reacting to the past. To build without announcing. To advance without permission. This isn't an ending. It's stabilization. The point where momentum becomes sustainable. And from here on, your progress won't shock anyone all at once. It will speak slowly, consistently, and undeniably, long after the noise fades. Now it becomes visible. Not in headlines, not in applause, not in someone else's recognition, but in the quiet certainty of your own steps. You move differently because your foundation has changed. Every choice is aligned with direction, not distraction. Every pause is deliberate, not hesitant. It's almost addictive, this clarity, this ability to act without being acted upon. Opportunities start to appear differently. You no longer chase them blindly. You evaluate. You measure. You select what serves your growth rather than what fills a void. The people around you feel it first, not as intimidation, but as consequence. Your presence filters interactions naturally. No. This isn't arrogance. It's the subtle power of someone who no longer invests in misalignment. You create space for the right moves, and the wrong ones simply fall away. Your internal compass becomes sharper. Distractions that once pulled you into noise now bounce off without effect. Temptations of ease, shortcuts, or approval lose their appeal. You recognize them instantly and you choose what aligns. It's strangely satisfying to see how much energy is saved when you refuse to participate in chaos that doesn't belong to you. Every decision now compounds quietly. Every boundary honored reinforces forward momentum. The world tests persistence even after you've shifted. Old patterns try to lure you back. Familiar discomforts whisper your name. This is where restraint pays off. You resist reflexive reactions. You observe. You redirect. You maintain structure without forcing it. You aren't cold. You are intentional. And intentionality creates a rhythm they cannot interrupt, even if they wish they could. At this stage, influence is invisible, but undeniable. It's in the way people adjust around you, even subconsciously. It's in the doors that open naturally, without you needing to knock. It's in the respect that is earned without being requested. The irony is that those who tried to contain you now see the results of their own underestimation, yet they cannot reverse it. Not because you fought them, but because you built yourself. You no longer measure success in visible victories. You measure it in alignment, in habit, in consistent execution. Every day adds to the structure you've quietly built. Every choice not made under pressure is a victory. Every moment of composure reinforces your trajectory. It's subtle, but it's irreversible. And that's the strength they can't touch, because it doesn't rely on them at all. Now comes the moment of quiet accumulation. You've taken what was thrown at you and transformed it into precision. Every setback, every doubt, every limit imposed by others becomes data, becomes fuel, becomes a blueprint for action. No. You no longer need chaos to feel alive. You are driven by purpose, discipline, and a vision that doesn't require validation.